All right. So look, let's go back to the concept of digital transformation, customer success in the digital era. What does that even mean? Digital just means ones and zeros, doesn't it, Guy? I mean, as I understand it, right, analog's like that, okay, and digital is like that. So what are we talking about, the digital era? What does it mean?
So if you want to geek out, you remember in the 80s, the wars around the clock speed of the Intel CPU, 477, 8 gigahertz and so forth. I don't know what's the CPU clock is right now.
I don't know. Like I think they're on a series 10, but
yeah. So I don't know what the clock speed is right now. But I'd say that the biggest difference is the clock speed. I think digital basically means lower friction, much faster. So let's throw some buzzwords. I think in the digital world is self-service, internet driven. I think digital means data driven, because you can't make fast decision if you don't have data. You don't have the confidence to make the decision. So it's data driven. I think it's a multi-channel play. When we talk about digital, it means that creating multiple options for the customer, whether it's self-service web, whether it's self-service product, whether it's email, chat, all of these
which traditionally, just to interrupt you, has been difficult to do, even for organizations that have both channels, like an e-commerce and an in-store, to actually join them up together has been very difficult traditionally. So this ability to join it up. Sorry, please carry on.
Or multiple digital channels, like allowing people to communicate through multiple. To me, the most if in the context of customer success in general, digital is so much more customer centered, and you got to break it down from customer even into user centered, because in a single customer, depending on the market you're selling, could be multiple different users, and they could have multiple different journeys with multiple timings.
Right.
So the level of fidelity in which you define the journey or the behavior or what's healthy and good and so forth requires a much refined way to look at that. And this is, to me, what digital. So you got to do it faster, and you got to do it much more precise, because these are the expectations, right? Let's just take a quick example. When you order food on a food delivery service right now, the expectation is I have a full digital menu. I have stores, and then I have full restaurants, and I've got full digital menu, and I've got the price, and I can book it, and I can order this immediately, and then I can track the delivery. I know exactly when it's there. I can provide feedback, and I'm also doing payment. Right. So all of a sudden, just let's take 5 years back.
And of course, it's remembering. And when I come next, it's saying, do you want this like you had last time? Or we recommend this goes well with it.
Exactly. So that sets up a completely different expectation from a food consumer, right? But these are all of our customers. They're all food consumers. So it basically sets the expectation to all of our customers. So if we, our business doesn't do, or your business doesn't behave in this standard, you are substandard from the market. I'm not saying that everyone has the same journey, but this journey is digitized, fully integrated, with support, with an ability to follow up and provide reviews and so forth, and it keeps improving. This is the expectation, right? This is the expectation of all of our customers. It's so personalized, so accurate, so precise. That these are the expectations. Now, why can they do that? Is because every historical behavior has been tracked, analyzed, and is being used for the next experience. Right. So that is
again things like, don't take that direction, take this direction, because we found the traffic light systems now means it's quicker to go this way than that way. So there's and that's another system that ties into the system that delivers the food, if you like. So there's kind of like there's a whole bunch of stuff happening that ties together to get fresh food delivered quickly. And I love this concept of food consumption, which I'm all for, and I love this one. You said that this is led by customer expectation, and I think customer expectation has changed massively. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just compare compare products that were like winners. Let's take one that a lot of people have a controversial ideas on. Salesforce 10 years ago was the state-of-the-art. Salesforce today,
right?
There's a lot of folks that think that it could be improved so much more. So this is just an example. Without stating an opinion, you can see just to recognize the change,
the movement that's occurred.
Opinion. And even if, let's go back into the food delivery, when we look at that, we have a lot of ideas of how to improve it yet, right? This is not perfect. It's good, but it will never be perfect because the expectations are increasing, and then and then the experience needs to increase.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the previous idea that if you are not if you're a customer success manager or a customer success organization lead or a leader in the organization, and you're not in the mindset that the journey needs to constantly improve. So you need to think about the methodology in which you're going to improve and innovate on the journey. Over time, you're going to be outdated by the market, pure and simple. So this is why, going back to innovation, this is why an innovation mindset of it's never finished and there's more to do. And yes, prioritize, think of how to do it better and so forth. But it is something that I truly feel is at the heart of how we need to think about customer experiences. And the purpose of all the technologies that you mentioned before is to allow us to do it. Right? It's not about I love technology, but I see technology as
not a means to an end. Absolutely.
I see this as, I would say, application of technology is the most interesting thing to me. How do we apply that 100%. Into improving our business, our customer experience?
It's not the end. It's a means to an end. It's a way of getting something. And I think you mentioned a word which I love as well. You said experience a couple of times now. And I think that this is one of the big, obviously it's always been the case, and this can be overblown as well. All right. But effectively, customers don't want a product. They want a result. They want an experience if it's B2C, and they want an outcome if it's B2B, if you like. I'm being very broad brush here, but customers have cottoned onto the fact that actually it's not the thing that they want, it's the thing that the thing does that they want. And that, of course, is exactly where customer success comes in as a fantastic innovation to go alongside the product to say, and that's how you get the thing that you actually want from the thing that you have bought. Making sense?
Absolutely. Is Google? Do people go for Google to search or to find, or do you want a hammer to put the nail on the wall? Or do you want to hang the picture?
Right.
If I may, I think I do want to comment on that specific topic that you're talking about, because I think it's true. I think the challenge is how to apply it, right? One of the challenges that the customer success as an industry had is, customer success. Who doesn't want customer success? And who doesn't want to provide an amazing customer experience? So, so check, that's done.
Yeah.
We agree. And then we understand that it's about the outcome of the product and service, whether it's B2B or B2C, outcome plus that needs to be packaged in an amazing experience. Right. And we're also in agreement on that, right? I think we've already agreed on that as well. Yeah, I think it's so
how do you do
where I am right now as an organization, and what's the gap, and how do I close it?
So there's a quality versus efficiency sort of, like you mentioned, 7 rooms, the pivot there from a, I don't know, but my understanding maybe was from a high touch to an automated customer success. Yeah, I think that's the key to it is, as you say, is how do you deliver that, and how do you deliver it at scale economically to give really good value to your customer while still being profitable. And customers want us to be profitable if they've got any sense, because if we're not profitable, we're not there tomorrow, are we? So everyone's got to win. So then rubber hits the road with customer success. Tools like Tatango can assist, but effectively the message is, as I understand it, Guy, is that at least a large part of a customer success professional's role is to help their customer to innovate in order to provide a better service to their customers through a better understanding of the art of the possible in our products and services. Is that, and your tools and others like it can assist them in that, with coming up with the data and the ideas that to help them. Have I summarized in a reasonable way there?
Yes. I was kind of focused on, I think where I'm very much focused is allowing customer success organizations and others that deal with the customers to innovate in the way in which they do it, right? And I think, the way I'm looking at what we do is enablement, right?
Right.
We want to enable you to do it, but you need to have the mindset to do it. And enablement is technology. Enablement is ideas and best practices, and connecting communities and so forth. But the idea is, the bottom line from, if you want one bottom line from this conversation, I think customer success teams and organizations have to innovate on their customer journey constantly. They have to. And
yes.
Yeah, so one idea is, instead of how do I help a customer one by one, how do I make it more scalable? How can I help many more customers faster?
Innovation doesn't have to be like an amazing big announcement of a huge step change that's going to make everyone's life completely different. Innovation can actually be incremental, right?
I only see incremental. I don't understand the non-incremental version.
Well, it can happen, right? Like, I don't know, the first smartphone can come out, or whatever. But then smartphones improve over time, right? And if you add up all the incremental changes to smartphones, they add up to a lot more than the initial innovation did. So in other words, incremental actually is more powerful an innovation than a big step change innovation, because you can't do step change all the time. You'd have to re-gear all your manufacturing. You can't do that. You have to start again all the time.
I can tell you, like, a quick example. Every time I get like an email that I think either it's a promotion email or let's say a product announcement email, or just like a engagement email, like a Netflix email or Google email and so forth, which I think it's really cool idea. I'm pushing it to my team and say, hey, take a look at that. You should try. Let's try this out as well. So I think that this innovation by imitation is also very, very good.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to sit down and think about everything else. Innovation by copying the best practices from others. Trello, when they came in first, they were the only one with a Kanban view. Now every product has a Kanban view in it. So
right.
The point I'm making is that
we're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? No point in reinventing the wheel. Starting from first fundamental principles, right? What is an atom? I can't discuss this with you yet. First of all, I got to work out. No, you don't. We've already done all that. Now let's move forwards. And you're right. Let's as artists have done throughout the years. Let's beg, borrow, and steal where we can. And obviously, ethically, and and come out with the best things for our customers. So, are there winners and losers in this, Guy? And actually, another point that people bring up when we talk about digital is the risk from security breaches and hackers and so on. And there's been a lot of that, hasn't there? So, I don't know. You're probably not aware of it. Why should you be? But over here in Ireland, I could not go for a blood test. And the reason why was because the blood test systems had been hacked by hackers, and there was no blood tests in the entirety of the Republic of Ireland for several months, apart from absolute emergencies, which went elsewhere to be done. And obviously there was that pipeline, wasn't there? Was it a gas or an oil pipeline recently? Was in the news. And of course, we can only assume that there's plenty that don't get into the news that we never hear about because they're settled. Any thoughts on, is there a downside to digital?
Like in any new economy or like technology advancement, there's going to be the benefits of the majority of humanity, and there's going to be the bad guys who are going to try to exploit it for their own benefits. I think it's that's human nature, unfortunately, and that's the way it is. And I think this is why cybersecurity markets, companies that create cybersecurity markets, it's so hot because that's part of the digital transformation infrastructure that is necessary. So much like AWS was necessary to build, there's an infrastructure that is necessary to protect whatever you've built against it. So, but I don't see this as I see this as it's just the way things are, right?
It's a regrettable byproduct of technology that allows you to do great things. Also, by its nature, is going to allow you to do sneaky things.
And there's going to be the companies that are going to benefit from protecting the infrastructure, and that's the economy. That's the economy around that. So but that's the way it is. So there's no point in fighting. It's just
So for the company that is like risk averse, that is saying, well, we're fearful of this, your message is look, you've really got no choice. You're either going to sink or swim. Your competitors are going to steal.
Do we really talk right now about, are you going to be open to is it like 1995? Are you going to be open to the internet or not? That's done. You are going to be open to the internet. And going back to this question about incremental innovation, I found something like something that I think worked for me for many, many years, which is you asked, okay, so how do I become this, super successful, say, customer success organization or business that drives amazing digital experience for my customers on the heels of digital transformation and so forth? I think one program that could work well for everyone is to declare we want to be a top 5% customer success organization.
Okay,
so that's good. You declare it, but then the second question, which is the most important thing, is, or the second two is, okay, so who is top 5%?
What does that look like?
Exactly, and what practices what do they do? Right, let's write them down specifically. Yeah. What does it mean? And then you have a recipe.
I think that's really
based
cool.
on your perspective of the gap between where you are and where the top 5% that you've identified, and that becomes your roadmap.
I really like 5%. That. I'm gonna think a lot about that. I'm gonna. That's so, as we said, steal ideas from wherever you find them. I've just found one that I really like. I really like that. So okay, so this is the embracing the new world rather than dipping a toe in and saying we're going to get on with it. And if security is a fear, right, go and get some top class security consultancy and get it sorted out so that knowledge reduces risk, right? Go and find out what you need to know to deal with it, and then that risk is reduced by positive action rather than sitting in a closet with the door locked, and worrying about these things with the lights off, because it ain't going to help.
We talked about this in the beginning, right? Embrace the change and use it for your advantage versus the other way around. Okay. But you're making a very good point, which is one of the gaps is education gap, right? And so again, thank you for doing what you're doing, because
thank you for saying that, and I agree.
Broadcasting education across larger audiences, but you're right. People need to, or organizations need to, basically change even the level of knowledge that they have. Share
best practice, develop best practice, publish best practice, and make sure that you standardize on that best practice. And make sure that it's reaching everyone within the organization. Look, we've only got a few minutes left, guys. So here's what I want to do, with your permission, is I want to ask you one final question, which is, okay, here we are. We're definitely in the digital era now. Okay, so I want you to put your prediction hat on. Okay, I know you've got a prediction hat. Wearing that prediction hat, metaphorically, obviously, where is customer success going to be in, let's give you something easy like 2 to 3 years time, and if you're going to be brave, tell us 5 to 10 years out as well. And whilst you're doing that, just to give you a moment to think about it, if anyone wants to ask a question, now is the time to put it into the chat window, and I'll pick up the questions after Guy has answered this future of customer success question. Thank you, Guy.
So along the lines of what I said earlier, I think we're going to see some amazing customer experience innovations, or if people don't like the term customer experience, like journey innovations coming from the customer success universe. That's my expectation. What innovations exactly? It's hard to predict, but we can see the signs like a more personalized, timely engagement, more automated and self-service engagement that feel very, very personal, although they're actually driven by the ideas of a human, but executed by computers, right? By systems. And I think this is going to be, we're going to see convergence between websites and products and people.
So is this kind of like like fighter pilots, like where you could be arguing like that? Who is flying the plane at any one moment, right? Is it the computer flying the plane, or is it the pilot, or have they combined so much now that it's kind of the two of them together flying the plane? That sort of concept.
Absolutely, because I think I don't want to get to the machine versus people limitation, but sometimes I want to be able to.
Machine enhancing what people do is more what we're talking about, right?
So I'm thinking like machines are gonna. What you can design is get the best practice and then code it in a way that a person doesn't need to do it. For example, if the simple stuff. I want to sign up for a service right now. I don't need to ask for access from a person who is currently sleeping. I can simply go log in and create my account and do that. So you can design a lot of. This is a trivial example, so maybe it's another good one. But my point being is beyond the limitation of availability and physical presence, you can create a similar experiences that are going to be enhanced by people versus led by people. And again, this is not apocalyptical or any of that. I think there's a lot of that can happen, and I think on the longer term, I think the roles of the functional organizational division of sales, sales engineering, customer success, onboarding, marketing is gonna merge together into pods. So much like in development, you had the cross-functional teams.
Right.
Organizations are gonna be much more focused around the experience and the journey. Okay. And you're gonna have teams around the journey that have separate tentacles into product and marketing functions and success functions. I don't think this vertical silo organizational building is going to stay for forever. But I'm also hoping that that's what's going to happen. So I don't know if it's going to happen. But,
so there's internal breakdowns of silos to enable a more truly collaborative approach to problem solving that goes across the entire business rather than being sort of owned by silo A or B. Thank you for that. That is brilliant. So a couple of questions have come in. What knowledge or skills do you think are most important for CSMs to learn now in order to best prepare them for the future within the customer success profession?
Yeah, what knowledge or skills? So I think basic knowledge is, project management and engagement management, basically the basic policies of preparation, proper engagement management, managing meetings and engagement and following up appropriately with the customer and across the organization. Project management, which I think is managing those initiatives over time. I think that's basic. Let's add one more. I think analytics, like data, being able to interpret data for your advantage.
Yeah.
Let's say customer empathy, being able to understand it from the customer perspective, right. But that's not enough, and translate it to the organization.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't take sides. You got to be the bridge. You got the side of the customer, you got the side of the organization, and you got to bridge the customer to the organization and vice versa.
Okay, so empathy on its own doesn't actually get a result. But it's a good starting point kind of thing. Okay. Yeah. What is the primary aspect you value in your CSM employees?
In our CSM employees, which we have like amazing team led by Robin Fernandez, I think really understanding of what the customer is trying to do, kind of long term. Why did you buy? Where are you trying to go?
Okay.
And where you are, and also very tactically, and what now is helping you or stopping you or blocking you from doing this, so they can get the necessary resources. Whether it's I need to train you, or I need to get someone who is more experienced to train you on that, or I need to send you to content. And lastly, something which we value very much as we scale, being able to turn that into a repetitive and hopefully also automated solution. So if you have a good thing to do,
prepare for that. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So that is also then about accuracy and documentation of what they do and how they do it. And it's very difficult to build a digital tool when you're telling your coder, well, it's a bit like this. Yeah, it's not really helpful to the developer. They want to know what it is, not what it's a bit like.
Yeah, and I think one of the, I'm sure that everyone is seeing this. One of the challenges of success organization, because they're very customer focused, they spend most of the time, as they should, with customers. So the internal best practices and knowledge and distribution of
push that into the company,
problems and solutions and so forth, is not distributed fast enough unless you are actually doing something about this to make sure that the organizational knowledge, it can never, some success managers think it's about me. There was a nice LinkedIn post recently about that some of the fact in customer success is very personal, and people get offended by customers, or they take a position of it's not me, it's the company, and so forth. I think that's all mistake. It needs to be rooted out. The customer success is a frontline representation of the company. So it's not only to deliver, it's also making sure that the company, which is the knowledge and the best practice, is getting better. And that is, I think,
and that's why you need someone with some emotional intelligence to sort of rise a little bit above some of that stuff. And that stuff's inevitable. And there's always a reason not to do well. I have found. And I found that there are always people who will not do well because they find those reasons, and others who will, regardless of the difficulties, they will overcome them because they find reasons to do so. Final question, because we are coming up to the hour. The world wants to compete on experience. How do you find differentiation from digital transformation to experience transformation? That could be a 15-minute, 20-minute answer. So difficult question to answer in 30 seconds or so. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's like the shortest path.
Okay.
For this answer. Yeah. I think look at the customer experience, map it out very, very specifically, ask the 5 whys questions. Why do they need to do that? Remove steps, or speed up steps. But that's, if you do that,
for you, it begins with a really profound understanding of the customer journey. Well, look, you've been very generous with your time. I've really enjoyed it. We went down a few avenues I wasn't expecting, like the whole innovation route. As I said, something that I am very passionate about. So I really enjoyed that. I hope it's been both enjoyable and useful to others who have listened in. I hope it hasn't been too onerous a task for you as well, Guy. Please come back soon. So, man, thank you, Guy.
Thank you, Rick. Pleasure to talk to you as always.